Commander Elena Rodriguez stood at the observation deck of the International Space Station Harmony, her dark eyes fixed on the sleek Qatari vessel docked alongside. The alien ship's crystalline surface caught Earth's reflected light, creating prismatic patterns that danced across the station's interior. Beautiful, but something about it made her uneasy. "Commander, the Qatari delegation requests permission to begin their inspection of our quantum communications array." Lieutenant James Foster's voice crackled through her earpiece. Elena's fingers brushed against the smooth surface of her tablet, reviewing the scheduled diplomatic itinerary. The Qatari had arrived 3 days ago, their stated mission to establish stronger technological cooperation between their species. Yet their interest in Earth's quantum communication systems seemed excessive. "Acknowledge," she responded, keeping her voice neutral. "Escort Ambassador Nix and his team to Section C. Standard security protocols remain in effect." As she watched Foster lead the tall, silver-skinned aliens through the station's corridors, Elena noticed how their movements seemed too precise, too measured. The Qatari were known for their advanced technology and logical approach to diplomacy, but something felt off about this delegation. Her tablet chirped, drawing her attention to a notification from the station's monitoring systems. "Energy fluctuations in Section E, minor but unusual." Elena frowned, scrolling through the data. The pattern seemed random at first glance, but her years of experience told her otherwise. "Chief Engineer Walker," she called through the comm system. "Are you seeing these readings from Section E?" "Affirmative, Commander," Walker replied, his gruff voice tight with concern. "Started about an hour ago, right after the Qatari's last tour of the communications hub. Running diagnostics now." Elena's suspicion deepened. The timing was too convenient to be coincidental. She pulled up the station's security feeds, watching the Qatari delegation as they examined the quantum array. Ambassador Nix's movements were fluid, almost hypnotic, as he gestured to various components. His attendants positioned themselves at strategic points around the room, their silver eyes reflecting the blue glow of Earth below. A new alert flashed across her screen, another energy fluctuation. This time, in Section B, Elena's heart rate quickened as she noticed a pattern emerging. The fluctuations were creating a geometric sequence, one that seemed to be expanding throughout the station's critical systems. "Walker, lock down access to all primary control systems," she ordered, her mind racing through possible scenarios. "Route everything through the backup servers in Section A." "Ma'am." Walker's surprise was evident. "That'll raise questions from our guests." "Better questions than compromised systems," Elena replied firmly. "Something's not right here, and I'm not taking chances with humanity's most advanced space station." As she watched the Qatari through the security feed, Ambassador Nix paused, his head tilting slightly as if sensing the change in the station's operations. His silver eyes narrowed, and for a moment, Elena could have sworn she saw a flicker of something else. Calculation, perhaps even satisfaction. Elena moved swiftly through the station's corridors, her magnetic boots clicking against the metal floor. The station's artificial gravity was working perfectly, but years of space service had taught her to never rely completely on technology. As she approached Section C, she could hear the soft, melodic tones of Qatari speech. "Commander Rodriguez," Ambassador Nix greeted her, his voice carrying that strange harmonic quality unique to his species. "Your quantum communication array is most impressive, though perhaps not operating at peak efficiency." The question carried an undertone that made Elena's trained instincts scream danger. She maintained her diplomatic smile, even as her mind processed the implications of his words. How could he know about the efficiency issues unless all systems are functioning within normal parameters? "Ambassador," she replied smoothly, "though we're always interested in potential improvements." Nix's silver lips curved into what might have been a smile. "Indeed. We have much to share with humanity about quantum technologies, much to share indeed." As Elena watched the ambassador turn back to the array, she made a decision. She would need to contact Earth Command, but through secure channels only. Whatever game the Qatari were playing, she intended to stay several steps ahead. The fate of humanity's most advanced space station, and perhaps much more, might depend on unraveling this mystery before it was too late. Elena could feel the weight of responsibility settling on her shoulders, but she stood straighter, her resolve hardening. The Qatari might have advanced technology and centuries of space travel experience, but they were about to learn something about human intuition and determination. Elena Rodriguez hadn't become the youngest commander of Harmony by ignoring her instincts, and right now, those instincts were telling her that humanity was facing a threat unlike anything they'd encountered before. Engineer Marcus Walker's hands flew across the holographic display, his weathered face illuminated by streams of data cascading through the air. The energy fluctuations had evolved into something more complex, a pattern that seemed to pulse through Harmony's systems like a digital heartbeat. There, Elena pointed to a cluster of anomalies in the quantum communication logs. Every time the Qatari access our systems, these signatures appear exactly 12 minutes later. Marcus nodded, his expression grim. "And look at this, Commander." He gestured to another display, showing the station's power distribution grid. The energy isn't being drained or redirected. It's being copied, like they're creating a shadow network inside our own systems. Elena felt a chill run down her spine despite the station's regulated temperature. The Qatari delegation had been aboard for 5 days now, and with each passing hour, the evidence of their true intentions grew stronger. But they needed proof, something concrete they could take to Earth Command. A soft chime announced an incoming transmission. "Commander Rodriguez," Ambassador Nix's harmonious voice filled the room. "Might we discuss the possibility of a direct interface between our vessels? A gesture of trust between our peoples?" Elena exchanged a knowing look with Marcus. "Of course, Ambassador. I'll meet you in the diplomatic suite in 30 minutes. She terminated the connection and turned to her engineer. "How long would it take them to completely compromise our systems if we allowed that interface?" Marcus ran a hand through his gray-streaked hair. "Based on these patterns, minutes, maybe seconds. They've already mapped our entire network architecture. They're just waiting for direct access to implement whatever this is." A warning alert flashed across the main screen, another system showing unusual activity. This time, it was the station's astronomical monitoring array, specifically the deep space sensors. Elena's eyes narrowed as she studied the readouts. "They're not just mapping our systems," she muttered, the pieces finally clicking into place. "They're using our own sensors to scan for something out there." She gestured to the vast expanse of space visible through the reinforced windows. Marcus pulled up the sensor logs, his fingers dancing across the holographic controls. The scans are focused on a specific sector of space, about 2 light-years from Earth. But whatever they're looking for, our sensors aren't powerful enough to detect it. Or maybe they are, and the Qatari just needed to recalibrate them. Elena's mind raced with possibilities, none of them comforting. Cross-reference these scan patterns with known Qatari technology signatures. The computer worked silently for a moment before displaying its results. Marcus whistled softly. "The patterns match Qatari quantum beacon technology. They're not just scanning, Commander. They're signaling." Elena felt her jaw tighten. The Qatari weren't here for diplomatic relations or technological exchange. They were using Harmony as a giant transmitter, but for what purpose? And to signal whom? A sudden movement caught her eye, a shadow passing across the stars outside. She stepped closer to the window, her reflection pale against the darkness of space. The Qatari vessel hung there, its crystalline surface now pulsing with a subtle rhythm that matched the energy fluctuations in Harmony systems. "Marcus, initiate Protocol Echo 7. Full system isolation, but make it look like routine maintenance. We need to buy time." She straightened her uniform, preparing to meet with Ambassador Nix. "And get me a secure channel to Earth Command. We need to warn them without alerting our guests." As Elena made her way to the diplomatic suite, she could feel the station humming around her, its systems fighting against an invisible invasion. The Qatari had underestimated human resourcefulness, assumed their technological superiority would blind humanity to their true intentions. But humans had survived and thrived precisely because they could recognize patterns, adapt to threats, and turn disadvantages into strengths. Elena allowed herself a small smile as she approached the diplomatic suite. The Qatari were about to learn that sometimes the most sophisticated technology could be defeated by simple human intuition and determination. Ambassador Nix was waiting for her, his silver form almost luminescent under the station's lights. "Commander," he greeted her, his voice carrying that same harmonic quality that now seemed more threatening than beautiful. "Shall we discuss the future of our species' cooperation?" Elena met his metallic gaze steadily. "Yes, Ambassador. Let's discuss exactly what kind of future you have in mind for Earth." The game of shadows and secrets was about to enter its next phase, and Elena was determined to ensure humanity wouldn't be the ones caught in the dark. The diplomatic suite's atmosphere crackled with unspoken tension as Elena faced Ambassador Nix. Behind him, the Earth hung like a jewel in the darkness, seemingly peaceful and unaware of the danger lurking in orbit above it. "Your species continues to surprise us, Commander Rodriguez," Nix said, his silver eyes reflecting the station's emergency lights that had begun pulsing silently. "We didn't expect you to detect our quantum signatures so quickly." Elena's hand rested casually near her sidearm. "Then you don't know humans very well, Ambassador. We're remarkably good at spotting patterns, especially ones that threaten our home." The ambassador's metallic lips curved into what might have been admiration, or perhaps contempt. A remarkable trait indeed, though perhaps not enough to save you from what's coming. Before Elena could respond, her comm unit crackled to life with Marcus's urgent voice. "Commander, we've got multiple breaches in our firewall. They're not just copying our systems anymore. They're rewriting them." The Qatari ambassador's form seemed to shimmer, his diplomatic facade melting away. "You see, Commander, we've spent centuries perfecting our quantum viral technology. Your station's defenses, impressive as they are, were never designed to resist something that exists in multiple states simultaneously." Elena's mind raced as she watched the station's systems beginning to fail one by one on her tablet. The quantum virus was unlike anything in Earth's cybersecurity protocols. It didn't just corrupt data, it transformed it into something else entirely. "Marcus," she commanded into her comm, "initiate Protocol Omega. Full system shutdown now." "That won't help," Nix said smoothly. "The virus exists in quantum superposition. Even powered down, your systems are already changed at their most fundamental level. Soon, Harmony will become the perfect quantum beacon, calling our fleet from across the stars." Elena felt the station shudder as emergency systems fought against the viral invasion. But she noticed something else too, a pattern in the way the virus was spreading, a peculiarity in its behavior that sparked an idea. "You're right about one thing, Ambassador," Elena said, keeping her voice steady. "Humans are very good at patterns, including the ones you didn't want us to see." She tapped her comm unit. "Marcus, the virus. It's avoiding the older sections of the station, isn't it? The analog systems." There was a pause before Marcus's voice returned, excitement breaking through his professional tone. "Confirmed, Commander. The virus can't maintain quantum states in systems that aren't quantum compatible. The old backup controls in Section F are completely unaffected." Nix's silver features showed the first flicker of concern. "Impossible. Your primitive technology couldn't possibly." "Primitive." Elena allowed herself a small smile. "Ambassador, sometimes the simplest solutions are the most elegant. While you were busy infiltrating our quantum networks, you forgot about the basic systems that kept this station running long before we had quantum computing." She watched as understanding dawned in the ambassador's metallic eyes. The Qatari had been so focused on exploiting humanity's advanced technology that they'd overlooked the older, simpler systems still integrated throughout the station. "Marcus, reroute all critical controls through the analog systems. and power up the electromagnetic pulse generators in Section F. Alina's voice carried the weight of command. Sometimes you have to take a step backward to move forward. The station's lights flickered as power was redirected through old copper wires and basic electronic circuits. The quantum virus, designed to exploit the uncertainties of quantum computing, found itself trapped in systems that operated on simple, unambiguous principles. You would cripple your own station. Nix's harmonics carried a note of disbelief. Sacrifice years of technological advancement to protect Earth. Without hesitation, Alina met his gaze steadily. That's another thing about humans, Ambassador. We'll always choose survival over pride. The electromagnetic pulse generators hummed to life, their energy building to levels that would devastate any quantum-based systems, including the virus. It would set human quantum computing research back years, but it would also ensure the Qatari fleet would receive no beacon to guide them to Earth. As the pulses began to fire, systematically cleansing the station's systems, Alina watched the ambassador's confident demeanor crumble. The Qatari had wagered everything on humanity's dependence on advanced technology, never considering that their greatest strength might lie in their ability to adapt, to fall back on simpler solutions when needed. Your fleet will never find Earth now, Alina stated firmly. And when we rebuild our quantum systems, we'll be ready for any future attempts at infiltration. The question is, Ambassador, are you ready to discuss real diplomatic relations, or should we escort your vessel back to Qatari space? The station stabilized as the last of the pulses fired, its systems now running on technology that would have been considered outdated a decade ago. But it was still functioning, still protecting Earth. And in that moment, Alina knew they had discovered something far more valuable than any quantum advancement. The knowledge that humanity's greatest asset wasn't its technology, but its resourcefulness and determination to survive. Harmony Station hummed with a different rhythm now. The sophisticated quantum systems lay dormant, replaced by the steady pulse of older, reliable technology. Engineer Marcus Walker moved through the dimly lit corridors, his footsteps echoing against metal floors as he assessed the damage from the electromagnetic pulses. Status report. Alina called from the makeshift command center, now running on repurposed analog equipment. Screens displaying basic telemetry data surrounded her, a far cry from the holographic interfaces they'd relied on just hours ago. The good news: we've completely purged the quantum virus, Marcus replied, consulting his paper logbook, something he hadn't used in years. The bad news: every quantum-based system is fried. Communications, navigation, life support, we're running everything on backup systems from the station's original construction. Alina nodded, studying the Qatari vessel still docked alongside Harmony. Ambassador Nix and his delegation remained confined to their ship, which had somehow shielded itself from the worst effects of the electromagnetic pulses. And our guests. Still watching us, Marcus said, joining her at the observation window. Probably trying to figure out how we managed to outmaneuver their sophisticated attack using technology they consider obsolete. A small smile touched Alina's lips. Sometimes the best solutions are the ones your opponent never sees coming. She turned to face the bank of old monitors. But we can't stay like this forever. Earth needs its quantum communication network, and Harmony needs to be more than just a glorified tin can in space. Marcus's eyes lit up with an idea. Commander, what if we could use this situation to our advantage? The Qatari think they understand our technology, but they clearly don't understand how humans think. Go on, Alina encouraged, recognizing the spark of innovation in her engineer's expression. We've got their quantum virus trapped in isolated systems. Instead of destroying it completely, what if we could study it? Learn from it. Marcus pulled out a tablet he'd managed to shield from the EMPs. The Qatari created something that exists in multiple states simultaneously. If we could understand that technology, we could develop defenses that operate on the same principle, Alina finished, catching his enthusiasm. not just protecting against future attacks, but advancing our own quantum research in ways the Kiteri never intended. Over the next several hours, Elena and Marcus worked tirelessly with their team, using primitive but effective methods to analyze the trapped virus. They discovered that its quantum nature made it incredibly sophisticated, but also predictable in certain ways, like a complex equation that could be solved if you understood its basic principles. Look at this pattern. Marcus pointed to a sequence of numbers scrolling across a screen. The virus doesn't just exist in multiple states. It learns, adapts. But it always follows certain rules, probably built into its basic programming by the Kiteri. Elena leaned closer, her mind racing with possibilities. And if we understand those rules, we can write our own. Marcus finished. Create a quantum defense system that doesn't just react to threats, but anticipates them. Something that combines the flexibility of quantum computing with the reliability of traditional systems. Elena straightened, a plan forming in her mind. She activated the comm system. Analog, but functional. Ambassador Nix, I believe it's time we had another conversation about the future of our species' cooperation. When the ambassador entered the command center, his silver eyes widened slightly at the sight of humans working efficiently with their simplified technology. You continue to surprise us, Commander, he admitted. We believed destroying your quantum systems would leave you helpless. Instead, we proved that humanity's strength isn't in our technology, but in our ability to adapt, Elena replied. She gestured to the screens showing their analysis of the quantum virus. We've learned more about quantum computing in the past few hours than we might have in years of normal research. You've studied our virus. Nix's voice carried a note of disbelief. Without quantum systems. Marcus stepped forward. We didn't need quantum computers to understand quantum principles. Ambassador, sometimes looking at something from a simpler perspective reveals truths that complexity obscures. Helena watched understanding dawn in the ambassador's metallic features. Your attack failed not because our technology was superior, but because we were willing to think differently, to fall back on proven methods when advanced ones failed. Now we're offering you a choice. She pulled up their preliminary designs for a hybrid defense system, one that would combine quantum and traditional computing in ways the Kiteri had never considered. We can continue as adversaries, or we can work together. Share knowledge, develop new technologies that benefit both our species, but this time as equals, not as predator and prey. The command center fell silent as Ambassador Nix studied the designs, his expression unreadable. Finally, he spoke, his harmonic tones carrying a new note of respect. Perhaps we have underestimated humanity's potential. Your solution is elegant in its simplicity, yet profound in its implications. That's kind of our specialty, Elena smiled, finding unexpected solutions to impossible problems. So, Ambassador, are you ready to discover what we might achieve together? 3 months after the quantum virus incident, Harmony Station pulsed with new life. The once sterile corridors now housed a unique blend of human and Kiteri technology, creating systems unlike anything either species had developed alone. Commander Elena Rodriguez stood in the newly redesigned control center, watching as holographic displays merged seamlessly with traditional readouts. The hybrid quantum analog interface is operating at 143% efficiency, Marcus reported, his voice carrying unmistakable pride. The Kiteri quantum theorists said it shouldn't even be possible, but here we are. Elena smiled, remembering the skepticism in Ambassador Nix's eyes when they'd first proposed combining their technologies. Now that same ambassador approached them, his silver form moving with a grace that seemed less alien than it had before. Commander, Nix greeted, the latest test results from the Deep Space Array are remarkable. By integrating your analog redundancies with our quantum networks, we've created something entirely new. The main screen displayed a visualization of their joint creation, a defense network that utilized both quantum and traditional computing, each system complementing the other's strengths while compensating for their weaknesses. It was elegant, efficient, and absolutely unique in the known galaxy. The Council of Elders has reviewed our progress, Nix continued, his harmonic tones carrying a note of what Elena had learned to recognize as excitement. They've authorized me to share something with you. The real reason we initially targeted Earth. Elena exchanged glances with Marcus before nodding. We're listening. For millennia, our species has pursued technological perfection, Nix explained, gesturing to the hybrid systems around them. We believe that advancing to ever more complex solutions was the only path forward. We saw Earth's emerging quantum technology as primitive, a threat to be controlled or eliminated. But instead, we showed you a different way, Marcus interjected, understanding dawning in his eyes. Precisely. Nix's silver features shifted in what had become his version of a smile. Your willingness to embrace both complexity and simplicity, to find strength in apparent weakness. It's revolutionary. The virus we deployed was as much a test as an attack. We needed to understand how humans would respond to a quantum-level threat. Elena moved to the window, looking out at Earth below. And our response changed everything, didn't it? More than you know, Nix confirmed. The Council has proposed establishing a permanent joint research facility here on Harmony. Not just for defense technology, but for all manner of scientific advancement. Your species' unique perspective, combined with our technical expertise, could unlock possibilities neither of us imagined alone, Elena finished. She turned back to face the ambassador, noting how his formerly intimidating appearance now seemed simply different, unique, a reminder of how far they'd come. Marcus pulled up new schematics on the main display, plans for expanding the station, integrating more hybrid systems, creating spaces where humans and Kateri could work together comfortably despite their physiological differences. We've already identified 17 potential applications for the hybrid technology, he explained, enthusiasm evident in his voice. Everything from medical research to deep space exploration. The quantum analog interface creates possibilities that pure quantum computing never could. Because sometimes the best path forward isn't just about advancing. Elena added, it's about understanding when to hold on to what works, even as we reach for something new. Ambassador Nix moved to join them at the display. The Council believes this collaboration could mark the beginning of a new era for both our species. There are other civilizations out there, Commander. Some friendly, some not. Having humanity's adaptability and ingenuity as allies rather than adversaries could prove crucial in the centuries to come. Elena studied the plans before them, the future taking shape in lines of light and possibility. What had started as an attempted conquest had transformed into something far more valuable. A genuine partnership between two species who had learned to see strength in their differences. Well then, Ambassador, she said, extending her hand in the human gesture of agreement that Nix had learned to appreciate. I believe we have work to do. As they began discussing the details of the joint facility, Elena caught her reflection in the window. A human commander standing alongside a silver-skinned alien, both focused on the same goal. The stars beyond seemed to shine brighter, as if acknowledging that something remarkable had occurred on this station. Humanity had faced a test they never knew was coming, and in responding with innovation, adaptability, and in willingness to embrace both old and new, they had not just survived, they had opened the door to a future neither species could have achieved alone. The quantum virus that had been meant to be their downfall had instead become the catalyst for their greatest advancement. And as Elena looked at the hybrid systems surrounding them, she knew that this was just the beginning. The real adventure, the true exploration of what humans and Kateri could achieve together, was just beginning.